Good morning, everybody. It's your boy D Mac. I had to come on real quick, man, just to talk about this real quick because this is just it's sad, but it's not surprising, and it's really, really getting out of hand. It's becoming way too commonplace that these rappers are losing their lives in this manner. And these two that I'm talking about specifically, these are just ridiculous. It's just crazy the way these things went down. So I'll just go about it in order and I'll talk about Rollie Bands first. So I'll start off by saying rest in peace to Rollie Bands. He lost his life a few days ago out in front of his apartment. He had went on Instagram and he was telling people, y'all know where I live at for real. If anybody want to smoke, I'll be at my house in 5 minutes. And shortly after that, he was gunned down by whoever. They still looking for the guys right now. This is totally crazy. This is something that, man, we got to do something. There's something that has to be done to save our children, man. These kids are dying. These are kids, 22, 23, 24 years old. And they out here just losing their lives in these streets for nothing. And the second person I'm talking about, this just happened, I guess today. Jay da Yungn, he's a very well-known rapper. He's been out for quite a while now. He got a couple hits out there, and he was shot today. And when the people took him to the hospital, there was another shootout in the hospital parking lot. So apparently, Jay da Yungn and his father was shot in the first shootout. They were rushed to the hospital, and as they were in the hospital fighting for their lives, there was another shootout, I guess, between Jay da Youngin's friends or family and the people who shot him originally. So there's a lot going on with that situation, and there's a lot more that's going to unfold in the days to come about what went down exactly with Jay da Yungn. But at this time, he's confirmed dead, so I will say rest in peace to Jay da Yungn. Man, this is sad. This is a very sad place for us to be at in rap. I love hip hop music, but I hate to see what's going on in hip hop and how it's being destroyed by these young dudes who are just careless, reckless, and have absolutely no control or discipline whatsoever for any reason. It's very disheartening because I'm seeing the death of hip hop. You know, a couple generations back, well, I ain't even gonna say generations, it ain't been that far. But you know, like back in the 90s, early 2000s, there were a few people that were being blamed for killing hip hop. I remember Soldier Boy, I remember him talking about it, and he said that Snoop Dogg and a couple other rappers blamed him for saying that he was gonna be the death of hip hop by him doing the online stuff. And now you fast forward, everybody's doing online stuff, and it's pretty much a necessity now in order for you to make it in the music or entertainment industry, period, is to be online. So are we supposed to sit back and let this play out? I don't think so. Drill rap, well, I'll tell you like this: Soldier Boy's music never brought about murders and stuff like that. Soldier Boy wasn't even about that type of life. He tried to join G Unit, and that didn't even look right because he wasn't even about that life like that. He was a kid having fun. That's what that whole early 2000s mid era was about. Like the early to mid 2000s, yeah, that whole from I say from 2000 all the way up to I say 2000 12, 13, 14 maybe, somewhere in that area is when the fun went out of music around 2014, 2015, and everybody started trying to be hard. But from about 2000 up to about 2012, music was fun, music was lighthearted, and you know, it didn't have dark cloud of death over it like it does now. Right now, man, music has a dark cloud of death over it, especially hip hop has a dark cloud of death over it right now, and nobody. A lot of people are going to start pulling out of hip hop. Is what's going to happen. Not, and I'm not just talking about artists. I'm talking about endorsements. I'm talking about different venues, and this already happening with the venues. There's certain artists. It's tough for them to get certain venues, so they have to come out of pocket and find their own venue to hold stuff. It's something that Boosie alluded to a lot of the times. A lot of these drill rappers who are beefing big time with other people have these issues because they don't want a shooting to take place at their venue, because now that's going to go into liability insurance and stuff like that. So these venues are starting to take a stand, but they have to do more. Security has to be better. Don't make sure that these two groups are not in the same area. If one of them is booked to do a show there and the other one's not, and they show up, you already know what it is, and you should have safeguards in place for that type of stuff. If you're in the hip hop music business, you're going to have to know what's going on so that you can prevent things like that. What's the young man's name? He had just came home from prison after about 2 years. Um, Draco or something like that. Dude got stabbed in the throat in the back parking lot of a concert, or backstage at a concert. This is getting absolutely horrendous, man. I don't even know how many other words I can come up with in a broad vocabulary to describe just how horrible this is. The world that we're living in is a nightmare at this point. Who would want to even be a rapper at this point? I mean, who wants to come into a field? I would rather go into the military than to be a rapper right now. I would feel a lot more comfortable in the military, in a police department somewhere. Um, I'd be a boxer. There's so many other things that I would rather do than to be a rapper right now. And for me, if you knew me and how I feel about rap, man, that's one of the most hurtful things that I could ever say. That's one of the most hurtful things that I could ever hear myself saying. But it's the truth, man. Rap is dying and is being murdered by this murder music. And I feel like that's the whole purpose and intent for it. They want to get rid of rap, but rap has become the largest genre in music, hands down. But the wealth that's being generated throughout the black community indirectly from these wealthy black rappers is becoming a problem for the plan of white America. And so, how do we take down the biggest genre in music? Well, we do it from the inside. We let them destroy themselves, the old Roman concept. We'll let them destroy themselves from the inside. We'll just feed them all of the resources and the agenda and the narrative necessary to get them to destroy themselves. We've been doing it all this time. They're already conditioned to do it, so we'll just get them to destroy themselves in the music industry. And so now the climate in the music industry is you have to have one foot in the grave and one on a banana peel in order for you to be popping in the music industry now. So these young men are out here. They've given their life to their career, literally. They've given their. And my question is this, man. Okay, once I get to a certain level of notoriety and fame and I'm beginning to climb up the ladder, what benefit could they possibly see out of beefing with these people and doing a whole lot of unnecessary stuff. What is the whole point? That's like Kodak Black. He recently got arrested. Boosie, he recently got arrested, and he just got arrested again. I think it was yesterday. You know, come on, man. Y'all understand what the climate is. Y'all understand what these people is searching for. So why are you being lazy and giving them what they want? Because that's what it boils down to. You get what's the word I'm looking for? You get complacent. Yeah, that's the word. You get complacent and you think everything is sweet and you sit back and you slack off of your game. You don't keep things as tight. And then that's when they hit you. And they just sitting there waiting, waiting, and waiting because they can outweight you. They have all the time in the world to sit there and wait for you to make a mistake because they know you are sooner or later. And that's when they come and they seize that opportunity and seize that moment. And they may not get you on something that's gonna lock you away forever, but it's gonna put that label on you as being difficult, dangerous, not a good investment. And so that's going to bring down your value, and you're not going to be able to get these different venues and things like that, as I alluded to earlier. So now that's going to make your value go down in the game, in the industry. So now you can't charge as much for a verse. Now you gotta cut deals and give people verses for half of what you would normally do whenever you was up and popping. And that's where these guys are getting themselves in a lot of trouble because they have to do more than just music to keep themselves popping. I remember, well, see, this is where I sound like an old dude because I'm always going to go and reflect back. You know, guys back in the day, they didn't have to worry about a lot of this stuff because we wasn't in their personal life like that. Some stories would get out, but we wouldn't have any way to go and check up on it. We wouldn't have any other proof than what the media gave us. And like I said, this whole time there's only been six networks, and so they all work together to push a certain narrative. So whatever narrative came out, we just had to accept it at that time. Because if you didn't have any resources to uh, contact somebody who's closer to the situation to try to confirm it, then you just have to go with the story that's being told or just don't believe it. Those were your only options. But now we have the ability to, research things a whole lot more and find a whole lot more evidence and information that would give us a better educated guess at what's taking place. So they can't utilize those old tactics anymore. So they had to come up with something new. And what did they come up with? Man, this is so crazy. This is so crazy. I'm so sad for these kids, man. It really breaks my heart because I'm sitting here thinking about how I felt downrange. That's when you got ops. You're over in their country, so I'm equating that to a kid from 63rd going over to a block that he not supposed to be on in Chicago. You know what I'm saying? Somebody find themselves in an area that is full of their enemies, that is full of their opposition, and they got to try to get their way out of that. I equate those two things. And the PTSD that we suffer as soldiers is the same PTSD that these young men out here in these streets are suffering because they are in their own war zone and their enemy can come at any given time out of anywhere. Now, the difference downrange, our enemy was far away from us. And we had to go and, sometimes they would sneak attack us, but it was never where we lay. It was never at our home front or anything like that. It was out and about. But these guys, they're not even comfortable where they lay their heads down. You see Mr. Rollie Bands got killed right in front of his apartment building. You know, and these guys, they don't have an opportunity to overwhelm them with numbers like the military do, because that's often our tactic, is we will overwhelm our enemy just with the large amount of numbers that we have, bringing down the force on them. And oftentimes these guys don't have that advantage. And you see, we lost Youngin, Jay da Yungn, to a situation like that. Bullets are flying. There's nothing that's going to be your shield when those bullets pierce your body. Even when we was down there and we had armor on, that still didn't stop certain bullets, and it didn't have armor everywhere. So I'm melancholy right now. That's the word I'm using all of this week. That's my word of the week, melancholy. I'm hurting for the parents of these children. I'm hurting for this entire generation that's coming up and having to endure this. And let's make it not cool to murder, man. Let's make it not cool to praise murder and worship murder, because that's what this music is becoming now. It's worshiping death. And you know what happened to the people who worship death back in the days? They're the ones who went out and they conjured up all of this demonic energy and demonic activity. And that opens up a gateway for things to take place that normally wouldn't. It's like you talk to a lot of those guys. What's his name? Quando Rondo. Oh, let me say, while I'm speaking on it, Quando Rondo. Prayers out to Quando Rondo. He's in the hospital. It's not from a shooting or anything like that. I think it's related to sipping lean, allegedly. And I'm not trying to put anybody on blast. I'm just saying that to let people know to keep Quando Rondo in your prayers, man, because that's another young man that could possibly die just because he loves drinking this codeine-based cough syrup so much. So many different outlets they're giving them to kill themselves. Shout out and rest in peace to Juice World. Shout out, rest in peace to XXX Tentacion. Man, I could go down a list of so many people who could have really, really made a difference in this world had they not bought into the worship of murder. But that's the climate that we're in. So all of us who are sitting back, not saying anything, not doing anything, you're just as guilty as those who are out there doing it, because silence is consent. Ain't that what they say? Silence is consent. So I'm gonna keep on following up on this whole Young and Ace thing, because I'm not Young and Ace, but I'll say that Jay da Yungn. I'm gonna keep following up on this Jay da Yungn thing, because this is crazy right here, and there's a whole lot that's gonna come out about who's involved in this. They already throwing names around like NBA YoungBoy. They threw his name out there already. It's flooding through the YouTube streets, but you know how people are. I'm not going to say that NBA YoungBoy had anything to do with it, but most of the time when somebody's murdered in this type of way, then they're going to instantly start investigating people who had beef with them and stuff like that. So being that Jay da Yungn had beef with YoungBoy and a couple of other people, everybody's under the scrutiny of the law right now. So it's not just singling out NBA YoungBoy. No, everybody that Jay da Yungn's crew had beef with is under scrutiny right now, and they are going to be looked at very closely and brought in for questioning and all of that until they find out what really happened. Oh, rest in peace, Young Dolph. So that's another one that went out just in a crazy, horrible, graphic way in front of the world. That was horrible, man. How that man lost his life, and nobody's children and family and wife and mother should have to look at this image. I mean, I'm pretty sure that they don't watch it, but to know that it's out there on YouTube and the whole entire world is sharing in on something that personal is just, I couldn't imagine any of my children or anybody that I love, their murder being placed on the internet. That would really upset me, and whoever did that would absolutely have to see me face to face, not over a Zoom call or something like that. No, we would actually have to have a physical meeting with a mediator, preferably, so that it doesn't go left. But I would definitely have to see that person. So to have these images out here, and nobody reported. I didn't hear anything about Jay da Yungn's father, what condition he was in. So keep him in your prayers. Hopefully he didn't pass away as well. And then we don't know if there are any casualties or anything like that from the second shootout that happened in the parking lot as Jay da Yungn was being worked on in a hospital, him and his father. So shout outs to the family. We're praying, and hey, there's nothing else to say. You know what I say, man. Sticks and stones can break your bones, but the word can always heal you. I'm out.